Hi everyone and welcome back. My name is Khan, and today we're diving into another chilling case. In the mid-2000s, this high-profile case rocked all of America and was extensively covered by the media. The investigation into this horrific crime lasted several years before the perpetrator was finally brought to justice. The main reasons for this lengthy investigation were the absence of a clear motive and scattered evidence, making it hard to believe that the accused could commit such a crime. It took almost 6 long years for investigators to piece together the puzzle. One investigator even stated during the trial that he had never encountered anything like it in his many years of practice. This tragic story involves a love triangle, double betrayal, and an ominous omen that initially went unnoticed. Not much is known about Jason Young. He was born in Brevard, North Carolina, in 1974 and grew up in an ordinary family. After high school, he attended a prestigious state university in Raleigh, the capital of his home state. Upon graduation, he secured a job as a salesman in a large retail chain. At work, Jason was seen as a valuable and promising employee who could always be relied on. However, friends described him as unpredictable and unreliable in his relationships with women. He frequently changed partners, earning a reputation as a womanizer which he seemed to take pride in. Michelle Marie Young was born in New York in February 1977. She grew up with her younger sibling, Meredith, and they were very close. Their mother, Linda, dedicated a lot of time to her daughters, supporting them in all their endeavors and helping them develop their talents. From a young age, Michelle was interested in law and economics, dreaming of a career in these fields. After high school, she applied to several universities and was accepted into a university in North Carolina. Michelle diligently studied economics and law, earning a master's degree. She then secured a high-ranking position in one of the state's leading accounting firms. The former student was now earning a good income, supporting herself, and making big plans for the future. To celebrate her 24th birthday, Michelle decided to party at one of the city's most popular entertainment spots with her friends and colleagues. They were having a great time when a stranger accidentally knocked a cocktail out of Michelle's hand. The man immediately apologized and bought her another drink to make up for it. That man was Jason Young, and he was instantly taken by Michelle's beauty. He joined her table, struck up a casual conversation, cracked jokes, and tried to be charming. By the end of the evening, he asked her out on a date. Michelle, equally intrigued by this chance encounter, accepted his invitation, believing fate had given her a birthday gift. The couple quickly realized they had a lot in common. They had both attended the same university, although Jason had graduated 3 years earlier, and they shared a passion for the same hockey team and music group. Their romantic relationship blossomed, but moving in together or getting married was not on the cards at that time. Jason was still living with his parents in Brevard, only visiting Michelle in Raleigh on weekends or during work trips to the state capital. During one of these visits, Michelle informed Jason that she was pregnant. This news was a shock to both of them, as neither was ready for a child. They were both focused on their careers and had not planned on starting a family. Jason was straightforward about his reluctance, but after some hesitation, Michelle decided she would not have an abortion and chose to keep the baby. It took Jason about a month to come to terms with the situation, after which he moved to Raleigh to be closer to Michelle. After a few more months, the couple decided to officially legalize their relationship. However, it wasn't love or the pregnancy that prompted them. It was Michelle's lack of health insurance. The cost of childbirth would have been substantial, but marriage offered them a way to avoid these expenses. In the spring of 2004, their daughter, Cassidy Elizabeth, was born. The newly married mother embraced domestic life and family responsibilities, aided by her mother and younger sister. Michelle's family accepted her chosen partner cautiously, harboring reservations about Jason but striving to avoid conflicts. That same year, the Young family moved into their own spacious home in a quiet, well-kept neighborhood. During visits, Linda, Michelle's mother, sensed a tense atmosphere in the household. Jason's emotional volatility could spark arguments seemingly out of nowhere. Despite this, Michelle worked tirelessly to smooth over any conflicts and projected an image of a blissful wife and mother in public. Only to her mother did Michelle confide the true state of affairs. When Cassidy was just 2 years old, Michelle discovered she was pregnant again. She cautiously shared the news with Jason, who reacted calmly and even seemed happy about it. The family then drove to Brevard to share the joyful news with Jason's parents, who were visiting for the weekend. They celebrated the upcoming addition with relatives on the first day. The next day, leaving Cassidy with her grandparents for a few hours, the couple went out to a restaurant to celebrate together. On their way home, Jason, who was driving, made a sudden maneuver, causing the car to veer off the road and into a ravine. Though shaken and bruised, they escaped serious injury. However, Michelle suffered a miscarriage due to the stress of the accident. Jason's surprisingly calm reaction to the accident, the loss of their child, and his overall detachment raised suspicions. Linda Fisher later referred to this incident as a bad omen that had been overlooked. The couple had a mutual friend from their university days named Michelle Money. While they had lost touch for a while, in the spring of 2006, shortly before the accident, Jason ran into her during a work trip. He mentioned it to his wife, and they decided to invite Money to visit. Michelle Money accepted the invitation eagerly but soon began to complain about her unhappy marriage and relationship problems with her husband during her visit. She often praised Jason, telling his wife how fortunate she was. Pregnant Michelle wasn't initially alarmed by Money's behavior. She genuinely wanted to support her friend. However, Jason saw this as an opportunity. While he had flirted with others before, this relationship quickly escalated beyond flirtation and friendly support. Jason Young and Michelle Money began calling each other almost daily and arranging secret meetings. Jason always explained his absences as business trips, and his wife remained unaware. In the summer of 2006, Michelle informed her husband that she was pregnant again. This time, however, Jason didn't react with happiness. Confused by his sudden change, Michelle felt her beloved drifting away but attributed it to the miscarriage a few months earlier. Meanwhile, Jason was contemplating how to dissolve his marriage with minimal losses. In early November, when Michelle was 5 months pregnant, Jason had another business trip. He traveled 300 miles away in his own car but booked a hotel room halfway through the journey. That evening, Michelle had a lengthy phone conversation with her best friend, sharing her family troubles and suspicions. After a big fight with her husband the night before he left, Michelle went upstairs, put her daughter to bed, and fell asleep beside her around 10 o'clock in the evening. Meanwhile, at 10 p.m., Jason arrived at the hotel, claiming fatigue from the road as he went straight to bed. In reality, he meticulously studied the hotel's layout, scrutinizing entrances, exits, and security cameras, planning his departure and return undetected. He was crafting a solid alibi for what he believed would be the perfect crime. In the early morning hours, Jason called Michelle's sister, Meredith, for help. He claimed he needed assistance to retrieve a jewelry order confirmation from the home fax machine to preserve the surprise for their upcoming wedding anniversary. Despite her reservations about Jason, Meredith agreed to help. She entered through a secret garage door known only to family members, which was always unlocked. Inside, she found the house unusually quiet. Michelle's personal items were in the hallway, indicating she hadn't left. Upstairs, Meredith discovered the bedroom door wide open. There was no response from Michelle or her daughter to Meredith's calls. Stepping inside, she encountered a horrifying scene. Michelle lay on the floor beside the bed, her skull fractured, surrounded by blood that stained the walls, furniture, and tiny footprints. Tragically, Michelle had been dead for hours. Meredith immediately called emergency services. Underneath the bed, Meredith found little Cassidy, unharmed but terrified after witnessing her mother's death. The marks on the floor and the toys Cassidy had brought evidenced her vigil by her mother's side. Forensic examination later revealed extensive bruising, abrasions, and fractures on Michelle's body, indicating a prolonged and brutal assault. Michelle had been beaten severely, with her teeth knocked out and her skull fractured by a heavy, blunt object that was never recovered. A blood-soaked pillow near her body suggested she had been smothered. Nothing was stolen from the house, indicating the intruder's sole intent was murder. The absence of forced entry suggested the perpetrator had a key or knew about the secret door known only to family members. In such cases, the spouse is often the primary suspect. Jason, however, appeared to have a solid alibi. He claimed he checked into his hotel room and did not leave until morning, attending a scheduled business meeting thereafter. Hotel records confirm Jason used his room keycard to enter and exit as he claimed. However, further investigation uncovered unsettling anomalies. A hotel employee discovered the emergency exit was not only open but also propped up with a cobblestone to prevent the door from slamming shut. When the investigation decided to check the surveillance camera pointed at that door to find out who had done it, it turned out that this very same camera had been deliberately disabled on the night of the crime. Moreover, it stopped recording about half an hour after Young checked into his room. The weirdness didn't end there. It turned out that during the night a man who looked like Jason was getting gas at a station between the hotel and the crime scene, but during the night he was asked to provide identification as per the rules. He refused to do so through cash and without waiting for change quickly left the gas station. Attendant at the inquest identified Jason Young, but the man continued to deny everything, insisting that he had slept in his hotel room during the night. Another oddity was that on the day before the tragedy, Young called Michelle Money more than 24 times, and closer to morning he called his mistress 5 more times, with each conversation lasting no more than 15 seconds, suggesting that Jason was probably panicking, and all of these calls were made outside the hotel where he, in his own words, had been all night. He was also late for a scheduled business meeting with his partners and looked somewhat confused. However, none of this evidence, either individually or all of them together, proved that Young had indeed massacred his pregnant wife. Years of investigation and a long-awaited verdict. For almost 3 years Jason lived the life he'd always lived. Moreover, he achieved custody of his young daughter, which was a serious blow to the relatives of his dead wife. By that time, he stopped hiding his relationship with Monty, who was once friends with the murdered Michelle, which only increased suspicion that it was Young committed this brutal crime. Jason was arrested only at the end of 2009, but then, despite the large amount of evidence to prove his guilt, failed because the jury did not come to a consensus. However, the case was reopened in 2012 when more evidence was collected and the testimony of witnesses who saw Jason Young that night outside the hotel in different places. In particular, his rather conspicuous white car was seen parked on the night of the murder not far from his own house in an unlit lot. Also included in the case was the testimony of a child psychologist who told of little Cassidy's strange doll play, during which the girl showed how her daddy spanked her mom and then she would not get up off the floor. Manny took the stand as a witness in court. She confessed that Jason had cheated on his wife with her, but justified it by saying that he was deeply unhappy in his family life, as he told everyone. And another former mistress of the defendant admitted that she was afraid of his outbursts of anger when he lost control and could hit her. After a long trial, Jason Young was finally found guilty of brutally assaulting his pregnant wife. For this crime, he was sent to prison for life with no right to ever be released. In 2014, convicted Jason filed his first appeal, but it was denied. In 2018, he again asked for a review of his case, but a panel of the State Court of Appeals again denied it. Cassidy was virtually orphaned. Her mother was murdered and her father went to prison for the crime. The girl is being raised by her aunt and maternal grandparents. Thanks for watching, guys. That was Jack with you. Subscribe to the channel. There are many shocking stories ahead.